Hello and welcome back to Pravus Gaming and more Plague Inc. Evolved! So it's been a couple of weeks since the last video I did on Mega Brutal, and that's because mostly frustration. The next disease that we're trying to do on Mega Brutal is going to be the Simian flu, and I have made several different attempts at getting this darn thing to work, and it has not worked out well for me at all. So at some point I got so frustrated, I'm like, screw it. Not playing any more Plague Inc. Not for a while. I need to take a break. So I did. And here we are. Trying again. So, we are going to do this on Mega Brutal. And I'm probably handicapping myself a little bit because I still have not unlocked most of the genes. At all, in fact, for the apes. So, I'm not going to go ahead and say that this is the perfect guide. I'm just going to try to make it work anyway. I'm going to try a different strategy today and see how well things work out. We're going to go for Metabolic Jump for the red biohazard bubbles, and that's because there will come a stage in this strategy where we are going to have a massive wave of red bubbles which can fund our future efforts. Cortisol sensitivity, I think, is a necessity. Granted, it's the only one I have, but it's also really good. Reduces research from Genesis experiments on apes. This is probably the main way that the humans will be able to cure you, and being able to slow that down will buy you precious time. Aquasite and Hydrophile, I think, are going to be fine, and Viral Affinity is the only one I have, though it's certainly not the best, so we're going to keep it. Let's move on. Mega Brutal, alright. This is not going to be my test game anymore. Let's try a new strategy. Now, I know what I want to call this, but it is far too long, so instead I am going to abbreviate it. Dawn of the Rise of the Planet of the Apes. There we go. Dawn of the Rise of the Planet of the Apes. .rotpada is what I shall call it for short. .rotpada. That is our disease. Live with it. Alright, selecting a starting location. Now, for the Simian flu, it's not quite as easy as you'd think, because they don't really tell you up front which countries have a lot of apes in them. This just comes more or less from experience. Africa is usually a pretty good starting location. Central Africa, I think, is probably the best. There's arguments being made about West Africa and East Africa. Maybe Angola and Sudan as well, but meh. Central Africa is probably where we're going to start off. So let's go ahead and do exactly that. There we go. .rotpada begins in Central Africa. Hooray! Now, as far as the strategy we are going to be using, we are going to be playing stealthy ninja monkeys. We are going to be forming ape colonies, several of them, as 6, I believe, is the most we're really going to try for. And we're going to let those generate a consistent flow of DNA points while trying not to get detected by the humans. And only once we have a pretty solid foundation for our apes are we going to start spreading wildly throughout the world. And I'll explain a little bit more of that as we go, because some of the transmission options, for example, that we'll be making use of right here, doesn't even appear until we've done the Simian neurogenesis. So we have to sit back, wait until we get a few points. Now, one thing I have learned playing with the Simian flu is that the genetic drift, that certain mechanic in the game that as you infect more people, new symptoms and abilities become increasingly more expensive, that becomes absolutely awful on the Simian flu, because it is also affected by how many apes you have infected. And it's going to be a lot easier for us to infect a bunch of apes. We're going to have most of the world's apes infected in no time at all, and then everything is going to be freaking expensive. Some of the symptoms that I've tried using in the past have gotten up to like 130 DNA points for one symptom. Just absolutely insane. So we're going to try to avoid all that, but it's kind of hard to avoid. Neuroenhancement 1 developed for free. That makes the humans smarter. I don't want that. We're going to devolve that right away. Let's try to make it harder for humans to detect us. Let's make them a little bit derpier. It's the classic situation of ape versus human. And right now, we want the apes to win. So right now, we are gradually spreading from, well, apparently we've also spread to Sudan, which is nice. So Central Africa and Sudan have got intelligent apes, and as they walk around, they are spreading the disease, and by disease, I mean the evolution, in a way, to their fellow apes, because of that genetic trait we picked up, because we didn't really have much of a choice. I'm going to go ahead and pick up ape colonies right away, because ape colonies are going to be my primary method of gaining DNA with the Simian flu. So we've started up our first colony in Central Africa, and this will periodically be giving me some green bubbles for which I can pop to get DNA, like so. We just gained 4. we'll be able to improve that, and we will pretty much as soon as we can. Just gather up as much DNA as we can. There we go. Cognitive shift will increase the DNA generated from colonies, and that unlocks education, which will also increase the DNA from our colonies. We're actually going to save up a little bit. We'll start... Oh, gosh dang it. Neuro enhancement again! These things are going to get expensive to devolve, is all I gotta say. It's already costing 9 points to devolve that a second time. Not a high priority right now. I actually would much rather start a second colony and start increasing my point generation. But that actually just gave us a lot of DNA points just now. That's fun. All right, so now we have 2 colonies that'll be generating some DNA for us. We'll pick up education next, and then we'll worry about devolving some stuff so we don't get detected too early on. How much does education cost us? We can actually already get it. It costs us 11, so let's do that right now. There we go. We should be getting a pretty substantial amount of DNA now. Whoops, I want to pause. Yeah, that was 12 DNA from that one pop right there, which is pretty nice. We need to get rid of the rash before we bother getting rid of the neuro enhancement. We can actually do both right now, and we will. There we go. Anything that gets us detected too early is going to be a loss for us. We really are going to be relying heavily upon stealth more than anything else. That's going to be a necessity. We need 16 points before we can get our next colony, which we now have. New fall in urban population density. Well, that's really unfortunate because I really wanted to have those, but okay. I guess we will not. I wanted urban. Urban was good. My strategy will account for urban populations and make them very vulnerable to disease, so... That's just unfortunate for me. It's not the end of the world, but it's not good. Let's see, photophobia mutated. We need to get rid of that. Again, we do not want any symptoms at all in this stage of the game. Now, one thing, because of the genetic drifts, as we are expanding and infecting more apes, the abilities will be getting very expensive very quickly, so we need to grab these while they're cheap-ish, kind of cheap. We'll pick up cold resistance. We can get a few more points. Oh, it's not quite enough. We'll pick up drug resistance level 1. There we go. Get these as quickly as we can before they become ungodly expensive. Now, the red bubbles are saying that we are infecting humans, not monkeys. The green borders around a country say that the apes have been infected. But red bubbles mean that we are spreading to nearby humans, which is kind of okay with me. We don't have any symptoms, so I'm actually sort of surprised how effectively it's spreading right now. But let's go ahead and pick up drug resistance level 2, because that's going to be very valuable for us. And it will become very expensive later if we don't do it now. It seems to me that the ape-specific abilities do not increase in cost as quickly, as cold resistance, for example, is now already at 43 points to upgrade. Now, we still need to pick it up, because we started in a hot country, and we're going to have a really hard time spreading. Oops, we do not want a headache. Let's get rid of that right away. We're going to have a really hard time spreading through the cold countries if we don't get something like cold resistance level 2. So we will do that, but it's just unfortunate that it's going to be as expensive as it is. In fact, we probably should consider actually picking up a 4th colony right now. And I'm going to do that. Let's go ahead and pick one up in West Africa right now. Get that increased point generation. There we go. Boop, boop. Oop, there we go. How much for cold resistance now costs 45. We are just barely shy. Kind of figures. It's alright with me, though. I think there's actually an argument to be made for starting in a country with pretty decent medicine, so that you spread amongst the humans a lot slower. You know, you'll break free and you'll try to have things spread around to Central Africa. You know, you can pick up some organized travel abilities, which we'll actually probably do next. Try and make sure the apes spread around, but yeah, there's an argument to be made for that. I'm not really sure. Photophobia again. No thank you. Please go away. You'll be useful to me later, don't get me wrong, I'm going to like that later, but for now, no. Organized travel is going to be good for us because we'll be able to start spreading our apes to some other valuable countries. For example, let's go from Sudan over to India. I'm going to actually go like this. Now, here's something I learned, and I found this out by reading up a bit on this disease type and some strategies other people have employed, because I do read up on that stuff. Apparently, and I had no idea, if you are going to be moving your colonies around... Actually, I'm not sure if you want to move a colony. No, let's actually move them from Egypt instead. There you go. If you are going to be moving your apes, then the countries that they travel through in order to reach their final destination will also be infected. So right now, I don't think Iran or Afghanistan or Pakistan are infected. with the intelligent apes. But if we travel from Egypt through there, you can see the arrow is going to pass through them in the goal to reach to India, and that will spread the disease to those countries, which is kind of cool. And our strategy is going to very much depend upon, let's see, yep, there you go. See, it's actually spreading those beautiful green borders like that. Our strategy is going to heavily depend upon our ability to get at least one infected ape in almost every single country. And that is because of this ability right here, Hominidae Bridge, ape and human form of virus able to efficiently jump between the species. Basically, any country with an infected ape is very quickly going to have an infected human. And that's why I'm saying at some point we're going to have a wave of red bubbles. If we can get every country infected with one ape, and then we pop this, we are going to get a massive influx of DNA. At least that is the strategy that I'm going to try to employ. There we go. Doop, doop, doop. Lots of points coming through. How nice for us. Have we infected India? We have now infected India. Let's get our 5th colony in India. India actually has a surprising number of wild apes, 18,000. I didn't know that many apes existed in India. I'm not even sure that that's accurate. Monkeys, certainly. Apes? I didn't know. Maybe. Apparently. Who might have questioned it? It sounds plausible. Let's go ahead and send some guys from South Africa. We're going to try to send them up to, let's say, the Philippines, and that's going to pass through Madagascar and Indonesia. We'll get some of these islands infected. Let's also go ahead and spread from Morocco to... Can I go through the Caribbean? Will this work? I think it might. Let's try going to Mexico. Let's see if we can pass through the Caribbean and infect that. I want all the islands in particular to have one infected ape because, you know, this is a good way to sidestep that issue of those pesky island nations. Madagascar, as you can see, just became infected because the, headache has once again come back. Get rid of that. Because we passed our, ape hordes through there. Let's pick up Primal Awareness. It's a little expensive, but it will reduce the likelihood of us being detected by humans, which is good. It'll also reduce the likelihood of raiding parties against the apes and stuff once they figure out that we are intelligent and we are dangerous. You know, because I can't imagine why that would ever happen. Let's go ahead and pull from, let's say this corner of Libya through just like this, so we can get through the UK, Iceland, and Greenland. Seems pretty good. It's a pretty cheap way of spreading us around. Let's say we want these Russian apes to go through Japan to get to... Oh, not quite. Let's see. Through Japan. There we go. See if we can go through Japan, New Guinea, and then to Australia. I think that might work. I don't think there are any apes living in Russia either that don't live in a zoo. I'm just saying. I mean, maybe there are some Siberian apes that I have no idea, I've never heard of. It's, I guess, possible, but I doubt it. Let's pick up Ape Rampage. And you know what? Let's go ahead and pick up Primal Hunt right away as well. Why not? This will increase the combat ability of the apes, similar to how the zombies work, but as we get detected and Genesis once again starts to set up labs that will increase secure progress, we want to be able to put those down immediately. Do not want to have a single one of those survive if we can avoid it. Another reason that we want to have our apes spread out throughout the world as much as we can so that we can react to those effectively. 19 points to devolve. Ouch. Is expensive. Just saying. It's expensive. Japan, good. You've been infected. We are rolling in some points. Now, you might think that this is a freaking ton of points and we're doing really well. It's actually not a lot of points. It is surprising how quickly you can spend all of those. Let's go ahead and pick up War Paint. Again, less likely to get detected. I believe that Indonesia is actually a surprisingly good place to put a colony. It has 70,000 wild apes. Again, I'm not sure how much I believe it. New Guinea is terrible, 92. Philippines has 1,000. Southeast Asia has 3,000. Brazil has 2,000. I mean, it's really Indonesia is even better. It's one of the best places, honestly, for the apes. Never really heard of apes living that, but, you know, whatever. Dot Putta is spreading to humans, so they figured out that humans are being infected because Central Africa is kind of hitting that critical mass. They're not too worried about us yet, but even so. New labs are being set up to lead the research effort, so that's a clue that Genesis is starting to get involved again, and we need to be paying attention to Genesis. And wherever they set up, we want to destroy a lab, even though that will provoke the humans. They don't tend to like that. We've infected Indonesia, so let's set up a camp. That is our 6th colony. We are going to pretty much stop there. Good, we did infect the Caribbean. I'm glad to see that. We're pretty much going to stop there as far as how many colonies we want to set up. Can we please infect Iceland? Okay, pharyngitis. I'm actually going to leave pharyngitis because we've been detected already. Genesis is setting up, and pharyngitis is actually pretty decent for some infectivity. So we'll leave that up for the time being. Iceland, please get infected. I really, really want you to. I really need to infect New Zealand as well. Okay, well, let's see if we can send some Moroccan apes. Do we not? We do not have any apes left in Morocco. They all left. Every one of them. Actually, this is one of the main reasons that I am not picking up ape migration, is the fact that I want to have an ape in every country. If I pick up ape migration, then what will happen is apes will migrate and kind of concentrate in those colonies, which sounds really good for defensive purposes, but it means that there are going to be a lot of countries like Morocco that have no apes in them, and that's going to make them kind of useless when I want to pop this transmission option. So, yeah, no, we'll avoid that. I don't see any Genesis labs popping up yet, which actually shocks me. I was kind of expecting them to happen, but they didn't, so okay. I don't care about social cohesion. Do we need things like weapon creation for combat abilities? I mean, we could. It's not bad. We'll need it eventually, so let's go ahead and do that right now. Why not? Yes. Okay, we just need to be spreading our zombies. Gosh, we want to be spreading our apes very aggressively. So let's spread up to Canada, and let's spread down to Argentina, like so. We should be hitting Australia pretty soon here. Greenland as well, and there we go. We did get Australia, so let's send some of those down to New Zealand. How are we looking as far as infectivity? Or at least countries infected. Almost every single island nation. New Zealand is the only one missing. Greenland's about to be infected. And then the New World does not have a lot of apes infected quite yet. But we are fixing that. Well, we would be. Why are these guys not actually infecting? Apparently they're not really taking root. We passed through, but it didn't actually do much. Well, that's interesting. Usually it leaves behind at least a little bit of a trace, but this time it did not. Also, it appears we did not actually get Canada. Why did we not get Canada? Beats me, but we didn't. Okay, let's try this again. Doop-a-doop-doop-doop-doop. Coughing developed. It's alright. I guess we'll make use of it. The Caribbean is not infected again? It was just a second ago. I looked at them pass through, but apparently it didn't stick again. So let's fix that. Make sure we get every single island nation. Every island nation. We actually could set up another colony right now, but I feel like that's a little bit too aggressive. Let's go ahead and pick up Fomites level 1, 2, and 3. That actually will increase our infectivity in wealthy and urban environments a lot, which is going to be quite good for us. We'll save the rest, though. We're probably going to want to have photophobia and stuff pretty soon. Let's just continue to spread the apes. I'm going to stockpile some points, but once we've got almost every single country infected, Bolivia and the Caribbean is the only ones left. Alright, I'm willing to spend a few points to make sure we get these infected properly. There we go. So now every country in the world has an ape in it, correct? Good. So now that that's been done, let's go ahead and use the Hominidae Bridge, or whatever it's called. 44 points, not a problem. Let's go ahead and increase Blood 1, 2, and eventually we'll want this. This leads to a pretty awesome combo. Extreme Hemoaerosol. A virus able to survive for a long time and blood expelled from the body significantly increases infectivity. We're going to want that, but right now, because we just popped that bridge and we have an ape in every country, we are about to see an explosion of red bubbles. Here they come. Oh, it's beautiful. Let's pause and not miss any of those gorgeous DNA points. I'm going to need every single one of them. Doop, 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 doop. Oh, bathe me in your points, your sweet, sweet points. Let's pick this up now. Okay. Let's also pick up Birds level 1. Those are all the transmissions I'm going to want, I think. but that should be sufficient. That'll actually increase our mutation chance, which actually works well for me because pretty much everything we mutate at this point is going to be beneficial. Let's pick up photophobia and subconjunctival bleed. I think that's how you pronounce it, something like that. These will decrease the cure speed, which is going to be beneficial for us. Of course, we still have more bubbles coming through because it didn't process literally every single thing. Let's go ahead and send the colony from Central Africa to Brazil, the colony from West Africa up to the USA. We're going to try to get a good ape presence on all continents so that we are able to react when they start setting up Genesis labs, which should happen pretty much any minute now. There we go. How are we looking there? Okay, so disease-wise, few countries that still have not really seen much in the way of infectivity. I think that's going to change a little over time. There's a few more. Bam, 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 bam. Bolivia, Iceland still does not have much of anything, but they do have apes. They have 4. So not many, but they do have some apes. It's happening. Might be okay. Feeling uncomfortable about that. Iceland, Morocco, South Africa, and Botswana. Botswana being where again? There it is. These places. You do have apes, though, yes? Yes. South Africa does not, so we do need to send some apes down to South Africa, so let's do that. Morocco shouldn't have any apes, so let's send a few over there. I'm worried about Iceland. I'm gonna send some from... We don't have many in Norway either. Let's send some of the Greenland apes down here since Greenland is already infected. Let's make sure that we get these places infected. So it's Iceland is the only one left at this point. Okay, and we still haven't seen any Genesis labs yet, which is shocking to me. Absolutely shocking. I'm not opposed, I'm just surprised. Pleasantly surprised. And that's a rare thing for me. Makes me feel pretty good. Okay. What do we want next? Do we want to continue to reduce research speed in the future? Probably. We'll probably want vomiting. We probably want sneezing. There we go. Do we want epistaxis? Epistaxis, I think it is. Something like that. Severe nosebleeds. Some of these are going to unlock some really important lethality options for us eventually. Blindness and stuff, for example. The thing is, how much of this do we want to pick up right now with the anticipation that the genetic drift is going to make these very expensive in the future? The answer is we probably want to pick up something like blindness. Well, blindness is super severe. Let's not pick that up quite yet because that means that everybody is going to start jumping on the cure progress. Let's pick up instead, oh boy, headache and epistaxis, or epistaxis. Get that infectivity up as fast as we can. Let's send... Oh, wait. There's Genesis in Saudi Arabia. We are going to rise forth and destroy that lab. Let's send these Sudanese apes up to, let's say, Italy. Get a European colony established. So again, we will be able to quickly react to any Genesis labs that set up. Kazakhstan has shut down their airports. Doesn't really matter. Every country has been infected. Whoop! I see Canada as a problem. Let's arise up there. Alright, Iceland has been infected, so now every country's been infected. At this point, we just want to make sure that everybody else gets infected as well. Now, of course, one thing that's sad about sending these colonies to move around is you can't collect DNA from them while they're moving, so you don't want to do it too often if you don't have to. That's why we're establishing our presence as quickly as we can. Let's pick up pneumonia, because I'm actually going to want to infect places in cold regions a little bit faster. Russia's taking a long time. But anyway, yeah, you don't want to move them around any more than you have to. That's why I'm doing it now while it's not immediately urgent. Looks to me this is in Central Europe, I think, so let's rise up there. There we go. Because we did focus a lot on increasing our combat ability, these apes are able to destroy these Genesis labs rather effectively, which is very good for us. As far as infectivity, though, what else do we want? We need more infection. We don't want to crank up the lethality too early. I mean, it's tempting to do so, but we don't, because we haven't infected every single person in the world yet. Although, at the same time, a little lethality isn't necessarily a bad thing. These things get so expensive is the problem at some point. Definitely don't want neuro enhancement. That's a terrible idea. I mean, that's basically just to make sure that you can't rely too heavily on mutation, specifically to screw you over in that regard. Fever's okay. I mean, it has some lethality, but it does have some infectivity to make up for that, so I'm okay with it. How are we looking as far as cure progress? Surprisingly, not most of the world is getting involved in this quite yet. They will soon enough, I imagine, but... Causing terror in Central Europe, the government has promised to pursue radical methods to control the ape population. Okay, so drones are now targeting our apes. Now, this is something I learned that's interesting. So, what I originally assumed is when drones targeted apes in a country, then the entire country was dangerous and you wanted to move to a neighboring country. Not actually true. All you have to do is move them just outside the range of the drones, even within the same country, and they'll be fine. So right now, we're going to move these apes from this position and just sidestep them, like right over here. They'll travel pretty quickly, shouldn't be a problem. Rash mutated for free, which is nice. Let's pick up blindness, because I do not want these humans to develop too fast. I'm kind of tempted to go for coma as well, in fact. Yeah, let's do it. Significantly harder to cure, some lethality, but again, just the fact that it's going to slow them down as much as it does is going to be very beneficial for us. Oh, we have a Genesis lab in Japan I didn't notice. Let's rise up there. Try to kill them up. Genesis lab in Spain working on a cure. We shall not allow that. They both destroyed. Good. Destroying a Genesis lab also sets back the cure progress a fair bit, which is good for us. Also notice that, yes, these apes are still in East Africa, but the red circle has turned blue, meaning that none of our apes are in danger there, which is great. We need to be generating a bit more DNA. Doop, doop, doop. We have infected most of the world at this point. I think we should start looking toward a bit of lethality. Meningitis is really good. 102 points, though, I'm just telling you. Internal hemorrhaging? Sure, internal hemorrhaging. Let's start cranking up some lethality. Hypocoagulability. How I was able to pronounce that just now, I don't know. Symptom mutated. Dotrot Putta has hypocoagulability. Hypocoagulability is often fatal as well. So our lethality just went up a bit more than I intended, but global research focused on cure, huh? Well, that's no surprise. Just keep an eye out for those Genesis labs. Shout if you see one. You'll probably shout at the screen if I don't see one, I know that much. Well, I'm kind of hoping that every single human is going to get infected, and I don't miss a country that's actually doing just fine, because that would make me very sad. Hemorrhagic shock and meningitis or hydrocephalus would be kind of nice. All of these can mutate, that would be good. Actually, there's a lot of mutation options at this point. Genesis Lab was in Italy, and I didn't even know? Okay, fine. I had no idea. That's probably one of the reasons they were making as much cure progress as they were. Alright, they went down here. They went to the Balkan states. We'll fix that. Bam! No! We'll destroy all your research. And these two colonies haven't even arrived yet. It takes a long time to swim across the ocean. I didn't even know. Oh, a nuclear explosion in Japan. It's like Fukushima all over again. Let's send these guys back up to the corner. Get them out of the way. You know one thing we could probably do at this point? Well, no. I'm kind of questioning whether or not we even need ape migration. I mean, it would make the colonies more effective. We'd get more points out of them, I think, just from the sheer number of apes, which is tempting. And we actually would get a lot more points, I think. But at the same time, having an ape presence with weapon creation and so on ready to go in every single country means that wherever Genesis pops up, whether we have a colony nearby or not, we're going to be able to deal with them. No healthy people left in the world is a very good sign for me. So let's see. What do we want? Hydrocephalus? Or do we want to save up for something like meningitis, which will take 100-something points? Whoop, hang on. I see that. I see you in Pakistan. You thought you were so smart, didn't you? Thought you were so smart. No. Japan is an anarchy. Pulmonary hemorrhage symptom developed for free. That's lethal. I like that. Gastric ulceration. Nah. Keeping an eye out. Always do a quick scan. Make sure that there are no Genesis labs hiding I need to be worried about. Switch over to human real quick and just pay attention to everything going on here. We actually still have kept most of our apes intact, which is good. One option, of course, is if you always want to zoom in, you'll get a better view of a lot of what's going on if the overhead view isn't showing you enough for the Genesis labs and such, because it is all 3D, which is nice. What are these? Anti-ape Darwin squads? Yeah, Darwinism says screw you. The apes are evolving. Learn to deal with it. 166 points for meningitis now. Yeah. That genetic drift, man, I'm telling you. USA president taken ill. Take that, Barack Obama. Doop, doop, doop. Whoop. Brazil is being targeted very unfairly. Let's just sidestep that. We're kiting. Believe it or not, we are kiting the humans. Tank and spank. Yo. Tis what tis. I feel like there's a lab somewhere because they're making cure progress that I didn't authorize. But I don't see a lab, so maybe not? Meningitis! Kill them! Kill them faster! Also pick up hydrocephalus because it's a fun word to say. Thank you, my ape subjects, for your DNA. Thank you for taking those human syringes and retrieving your DNA and offering it upon the altar of Pravus. Rise, my son. Up. I see that. No Southeast Asia labs allowed. Goodbye. And that resets the cure progress a little bit more. Where this drone is going, I have no idea, but that was his one last chance to save humanity, and he lost. That drone pilot better feel really guilty, that's all I gotta say. Anything else we really won at this point? I mean, we've won. We freaking won, unless I've missed something. Which has happened, by the way. I'm like, oh, I've totally got it. Wait, I lost? But everyone was dead. Oh no, Iceland wasn't actually all dead. But it said there were no healthy people left in the world, so I have to figure we're in pretty good shape. We want to upgrade our apes for a little bit. We'll have them do ape migration, and we'll have social cohesion and give them culture. Yes, there we go. Dot Rot Pata is set to destroy humanity, and the dawn of the rise of the planet of the apes shall become a thing. There we go! Dot Rot Pata has created the planet of the apes. Thank God! Alright, so this strategy actually worked really well. Simian Master is mine. Thank you, Steam Achievements. My God, that took so many tries, but this is my first attempt with that new strategy, and it worked really well. And I didn't even have the proper genetic sequences, I think. So it tells you that playing the patient game here actually works really well. If you're willing to sit back, be stealthy, get a good number of colonies, and then spread and use that Hominidae bridge really effectively. You want to infect every single nation in one sweep and then massively crank out that infectivity, and then gradually introduce more and more of the lethality. But of course, keeping on top of those Genesis labs is super, super important, so don't neglect your ape's combat ability. That is the only way you are going to be able to combat the cure. But yeah, wait a minute, I just freaking realized I got 5 stars! Holy frick, 477,000 points. I just realized 5 freaking stars. Oh, I'm so happy. I am so freaking happy. That worked. Okay, well, I am good to retire now. I feel really good about how this turned out. By God, apparently I missed a lot of these Genesis labs. I'm just looking at these things flying around and I didn't even see most of these. Is that even right? It can't be right. I destroyed most of these, didn't I? Thought I did. Either way, 5-star, mega brutal, Simian flu. Ladies and gentlemen, my name has been Pravus. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. Oh, and I will see you guys the next video after I read this. Hang on, Call of the Wild has been unlocked. Oh joy, 1 gene type after all that effort. Yay! But I never have to do it again because it was on Mega Brutal. Alright guys, I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.